So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And today we are going to go ahead with being productive the Agile way or getting things done the Agile way. I do just not remember which one it was, but yeah, here we go. I do hope that I'm still having it somewhere. And yes, I am actually still having it open. And it is actually not that of a long one. And there we are. There we are. Where am I? Video capture. There am I. Rule of 3, which is, I guess, where we have stopped the last time. I hope at least. I cannot really be sure, but it should be rather okay. When setting your weekly goals, ask yourself, if this were Friday, what would I be happiest about having accomplished? What would I be most annoyed at myself for not having finished? Rule of 3. Focus on 3 goals for the day, week, month, and year. Make them feed up one to the next and work them down when setting new ones. So the day goals fits the week goals etc. just as necessary. Carve out a chunk of your life force for making improvements and leading the life you want to live. Because it just makes sense. Why would you do it otherwise? Why would you aim for a life you do not want to have? Does not make any sense. It's just not even advisable. It's just dumb, quite. The more you get in the habit of making time for what is most important, the more you'll get great results. Which makes sense if you're thinking about it. If you're doing a lot of things that make sense, that you should be doing, that you want yourself to be doing, on one hand, you're just going to be happier because you're doing the things you should be doing, you're doing the things you want to do, and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, you are you're going into the right direction. You're going to the things or heading towards those things that you want to get to. And then, of course, you're going to feel better about yourself by doing so, by having that life, by feeling that life. If you're not dying, I'm sorry. If you're not driving your day and time, then someone else will. Do the worst things first. Sometimes they're the most important, and then you won't treat them all day. Yes, definitely the case. If there's something you need to get ahead of, if there's something you need to be doing, do this first. And you're going to be thankful later. Especially when it is hard things, especially when it is things you just really do not want to do. Procrastinating and, laying things aside, important things aside. I'm not talking about things that are really unnecessary and or really unimportant, and it just really does not matter whether you're doing them now or later in a year or whatnot. But in the end, you're saving yourself a lot of headache and maybe even heartache. Find your power hours and focus on getting more of them in your day. See Deep Work, which is another book apparently. Create a shutdown routine for the end of your day to help yourself unwind and get out of the work mindset. Some people, and this is actually a TikTok that I've seen today, was about okay, I'm wearing this necklace when I am meditating and afterwards going to bed. Because then my mind knows, okay, now it is time to go to bed. Of course, it is important to also lay it off when you wake up and not just having it around your neck all day long, because this is, first of all, a habit to build, and second of all, this is a cue to be built. And if you kind of mess it up from time to time, it's probably not going to work that well. Of course, on the other hand, it makes sense to go to bed at the same time every day, waking up at the same time every day, and, living such a life and creating such a life for you, which I think it also just makes sense, You're going to feel better about yourself, you're going to have a better day, you're going to have a more productive day, you're going to feel better because of that as well. It's an endless loophole of you yourself building yourself and building the best life and the best day. Inspiration follows starting. Don't wait for inspiration to strike, just get to work and it will frequently follow. Because most often it is a habit. Working and doing things in and of itself is a habit. And I don't know, I've heard from some people that I tend to be very disciplined with what I'm doing. And yes, it is the case. I've gotten better in the sense of, okay, it is not crushing me when I'm not able to get those things done that I wanted to get done this day. Especially when it is things that's just about myself. When I do not record for a day, it's just not going to hurt myself anymore. It's not going to be such a bad thing anymore. On the other hand, one could also be talking about losing one's edge, but it is a mindset game and it is a mind game. So being disciplined and being able to work even though you just really do not want to do this right now is a good thing. And I would also argue it is a good habit. Question is, how can you build this habit? Probably by taking action, by quote unquote just doing something, and probably also by seeing the greater good of what you're doing. Okay, I'm recording right now because I know that I like to talk about certain things, and I know that I'm going to learn certain things, that I'm going to realize certain things, and in the end it is kind of a loophole for me of improving myself and seeing new things and getting to know new things and being able to improve myself. And this in the end leads to talking about other things, talking about more things and whatnot. It is a very long-term thing. I don't want to say that, a lot of things are very long-term and should be viewed also very long-term. A ton of good habits. You're not going to show those very great results the first day, second day, the third day. It is maybe something that you're seeing after a month, maybe only a year. But it is going to pay off because in the end it's about feeling good and creating a life that you're feeling good about. And if you do not feel good about the life that you're living right now, you should probably change something. And you should probably do something about that. And taking action in the real end. Gradually taking action, gradually changing those things that you want to change. I rarely believe that from one day to the next, changing everything is a good idea. For some people it is. It worked for me from time to time. So it really depends on who you are, what you do, how you work, how you work in the sense of how you as a system work, not the work that you're doing. It's just something to observe, something to think about, something to keep in mind, and then to adjust according to that. When you do anything repeatedly, create a checklist for it to quickly move through it in the future or to give to someone else. Makes sense. Consolidate similar tasks and do them in a batch. That way you can move through them more quickly. Create glide paths for your work, environments that make it easy to be productive and get your most important work done by removing the things that get in this way. If something is large and overwhelming, chunk it up until it feels manageable. Okay, when it is about learning for this mega, super duper big thing, maybe not thinking about the whole script, but having increments. Okay, today I'm going to learn from page 0 to page 20. The next day, 20 to 40. The next day, and so on and so forth. Chunking things down. And I would argue, I do not really know, but I think that it also feels better to go through that because it is manageable. It is not so overwhelming. It is not such a big task. Viewing it in this light, it just makes sense when you're in uni, when you're having to learn something else, when you're working on something, to actually have a very, very, very big timeline available. Having multiple months even to do so. And also doing something every single day. Of course, sometimes it may suck. Sometimes you do not really want to do anything. Sometimes you just have to rest. And this is also fine and also okay and also very important to rest from time to time. But you're probably going to save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of heartache once again if you just start very early and work on things gradually, exposing yourself to things gradually, and not just having everything in a week and or trying to do everything in a week. It's not going to make you feel good. It's not going to be good for you. And maybe, I don't know, the results are also going to be different. Depends on you, how you learn and whatever. But I guess it just really makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to end the episode there. So I wish you the best. See you soon, I at least hope. And